So, guys, Manchester City 1, Manchester United 2. Amad Diallo rescues Manchester United at the Etihad in the 2024 Manchester derby between City and United at the Etihad this afternoon on match day 16 of the 24-25 Premier League season. I said Amad Diallo was a superstar. I said Amad was the right winger we all had to have our faith in. And I said Amad Diallo can take Manchester United up to the next level. And what a dramatic finish. What a dramatic winner. And what a dramatic result for Manchester United in this Manchester derby. With now Man City in massive, massive crisis under Pep Guardiola. With this defeat, with only one win now in 11 games for Manchester City this season. 23 goals conceded in their last 11 matches. It's super easy to say now that Manchester City's defence of the Premier League is going. Manchester City are in crisis. But what a dramatic result. What a dramatic finish at the Etihad. And what a dramatic and huge, huge 3 points this could be for Ruben Amorim's Manchester United this evening at the Etihad in the Manchester derby, where based on the first half and the absolute blasting that Roy Keane gave Manchester United at half-time, which was quite rightly deserved, that first half was a massive, massive disaster for Manchester United again. Defensively, going forward, Manchester United were terrible in that first half. I was only surprised it was only 1-0 because that is how bad we actually were. But the turnaround in the second half and the dramatic late finish on to go to the Etihad and beat the champions at their own ground, it shows up Manchester City's clueless defending and clueless results under Pep in their last 11 games, with only one win now in their last 11. Manchester City are in crisis, but what a huge result this could be for Ruben Amorim. The smile hasn't been wiped off my face. I am so happy with this result. I'm buzzing for this excitement, and I'm buzzing for the outcome of this game today. This could be huge for Ruben Amorim, and for me, this is a massive statement of intent from Manchester United that eras do come to an end. It ended with Klopp at Liverpool, and it now clearly shows this reign of dominance by Manchester City is going to finally come to its rightful end under Pep Guardiola, where Manchester City are in a crisis. The way Manchester City folded and the way Manchester City collapsed and those last 5 minutes was absolutely horrific. If I was a Manchester City fan, you have every right to boo your team off because that last 5 minutes was dramatic, and it's not the result Pep Guardiola and his players needed today, where they lost against Juventus in the Champions League midweek. It's another defeat for Manchester City at home, this time at the Etihad, where Manchester City's defence of the Premier League is going, and Pep Guardiola now is under huge pressure to keep his Manchester City job. But what a result for those Man United fans. What a result for our supporters. What a dramatic end at the Etihad tonight. I honestly did not see that second half coming. I didn't see that result coming our way. I didn't see Manchester United respond when we went 1-0 down. And I was really struggling to see how the hell we were going to be able to turn that game around in the second half, because I think Roy Keane was absolutely bang on right at half-time. That first half from Manchester United was really embarrassing. I couldn't believe how poor we were. I couldn't believe how poor Manchester City were. I couldn't believe how bad of a Manchester derby that actually was in the first half, because I think both sides really struggled to adapt to that Manchester derby today. I felt both teams felt quite scared. For me, it felt like both teams was too scared to attack. And I think for me, Manchester City were massively naive. And I think their goal, again, you have to look at the first goal again. Like, I think that's the big talking point that I come away from this result today is I was really disappointed how we conceded the first goal. Again, the set piece defending is absolutely atrocious. And I think Roy Keane's analysis at half-time, when you've got players too afraid to jump for the ball, you've got players who are too afraid to put a block in, and you've got players who are basically turning their eyes away from the ball and flapping their hands up in the air when they can make a massive error. I think Roy Keane was absolutely right. That Man United team needed an absolute bollocking at half-time because we were really poor. We couldn't get our midfield in control. We couldn't get our attack really creating any realistically a good option or a good attack in the first half. I thought Manchester United really struggled. And I thought Man City were very lethargic. I felt Manchester City were very slow. I didn't expect Man City to be that standoffish. I really expected Manchester City to turn up. I expected Manchester City to win. And I really expected Manchester City to start turning their results around. And I thought those Manchester City players were a bunch of fools in the first half to only go in at 1-0 at half time. And in my view, Manchester United deserved to go 1-0 down. In my view, we did, because I don't think we really realistically created that many attacking opportunities in the first half. I thought we were really slow. I don't felt like we could get the ball forward enough. I felt we were playing too many long balls and too many long through balls to Rasmus Højlund to get on the end of, way on the edge of the Man City penalty area. I don't felt like we could get anyone in behind the Man City back four. I thought Manchester United really struggled to create, realistically, any good attacking chance in that first half. And I think Man City would have been happy going in 1-0 at half-time, because their performance based on the 1-0 lead, it wasn't really deserved, because I thought Man City were very, lethargic. I expected Man City to come out all guns blazing, and the Man City players just did not look up for it. I thought Man City were very, I don't know, it didn't remind me of Man City desperately wanting to win the Manchester derby. It felt like Manchester City were somewhere else on the day. It didn't like their heads were there. It looked like half their players wanted to be there. And you could see the frustration from the Man City fans and their supporters that their first half, I don't think Pep would have been pleased. I think the Man City players were very slow out of the starting blocks. But I want to come back to the first goal that we concede. And again, from another set piece, that is 4 goals in our last 3 games that Manchester United have conceded goals from. And it's very poor. Again, you've got a quick corner from Kevin De Bruyne, who plays a short corner. I think is it with Bernardo Silva? And obviously, it has gone to VAR to check that Kevin De Bruyne is in an onside position. And obviously, the goal has to be given because Kevin De Bruyne is way onside. The goal isn't ruled out for offside. But it's just the way the goal happened in the first place. For allow Man City to have that attacking corner quite quickly, I thought was very poor, because I don't think Manchester United players responded to how quick Man City took that corner from the set piece. I think they expected Man City and De Bruyne to put that ball into the penalty area from the corner from the first place. I don't think those Man United players expected Man City to go at them from that set piece as quick as they did. And unfortunately, the Man United players have got mostly have got their backs to the corner. They've got their bodies faced against De Bruyne instead of having their bodies facing him. So they've got their backs turned to him. I don't think the Man United players anticipate how quick the corner was going to get taken. And unfortunately, again, I thought, Ahmad didn't have his best first half, in my view. I thought, realistically, I thought the block to try and block De Bruyne from putting that ball into the penalty area was really shit. I don't felt that block was good enough. I felt like he should have been harder into the tackle. The block is quite a lethargic one. It's not exactly a block that can actually clear the ball away from any danger. I think the block and the attempt to try and win the ball back was really poor. And I think Amad Diallo would have been disappointed that even though he's got a block to the ball, the block he's tried to put in has ended up as a decent cross into the Manchester United penalty area. And again, you've got to look at that back three. You've got to criticise how Rasmus Højlund and Diego Dalot basically turn their backs to Guardiola, who, again, has been left inside our penalty area unmarked. You can't be leaving that Man City centre-back with all that free space inside your own penalty area. You can't be leaving him unmarked because Guardiola's got the height, he's got the space, and he's got the area to be able to create an attacking opportunity on the Manchester United goal. And unfortunately, you've got Rasmus Højlund and Dalot, who are both near to Guardiola as possible at the start. But unfortunately, they both back away from Guardiola and they allow him to attack that cross. They allow him to have that free header on goal. And then you've got Dalot flapping his arms like that, turn away in frustration when that ball ends up in the back of the Manchester United net. As a professional footballer, you can't be flapping your arms about because you're at fault for the first goal. You've got to be facing fact that you and Rasmus Højlund didn't do your jobs knowing that Guardiola was left completely free and completely marked in your own penalty area. You can't be giving Guardiola that space. You can't be giving him that free time to attack the ball. If you give him that free time and you give him that free space, he's basically got a free shot on goal. You can't be leaving that space. You can't be leaving that area of an attacking phase of the game for Man City to get that cross in and allow that attacking moment to happen in the first place. Amad, I get the block is really poor. It is a really, really pathetic block of trying to block that ball from going into the penalty area in the first place. Amad would be disappointed, and I get that. But it's the defending again that I'm absolutely crucifying, because you can't be defending like that. You've got to be knowing that you've got Ruben Dias and Guardiola. Man City's players are massively tall. They're taller than the fucking BFG. And you've got to realise they are tall. They can get ahead of you. They can jump ahead of you in the air. And unfortunately, when Rasmus Højlund and Diallo both turn their back to Guardiola, they're standing there looking at each other, wondering which one of them is trying to deal with the Guardiola attacking threat. And unfortunately, neither of them do it. They basically allow him that time. They allow him that space, and they allow him all that time in the world to attack that cross. And again, the cross shouldn't have gone into the penalty area. That should have been cleared away. There should have been a better block on the ball. And you've got to defend better. And again, the responsibility for the first goal comes down to Diallo, it comes down to Amad, and it comes down for Diallo, because you can't just be letting Guardiola have that space. If he attacks that space, it's going to end up in the back of the net. And again, that is another set piece and another set piece goal that Manchester United have conceded in their last 3 games in a row. And I don't think it's good enough. You can't be defending at that level like that. It's quite sad. It's not hard to actually block the ball. It's not hard to get the ball away from your penalty area. And it's not hard to recognise that Man City have got these tall centre-backs. If you allow them the space and you allow them the time, you've either got to have Ruben Dias or Guardiola on the end of that cross, and all they've got to do is head it into the net. And it does end up 1-0. And in my view, they deserve that goal, in my view, because it was a poor cross, it's a poor block, and it is poor defending. All 3 moments of then have all erred into our first goal. But you've also got to pinpoint Andre Onana again. You've got Onana completely locked in on Guardiola. Onana can clearly see Guardiola in that space. Onana can clearly see Guardiola's been left unmarked. You can clearly see that Guardiola is anticipating to make a run at the cross and to head the ball into the net. Onana is locked in. Onana can clearly see Guardiola has got that time. He's got that space. He's going to have the free shot on goal, because our defensive work has been poor not to mark him and to not get the ball out of our penalty area and basically away from danger in the first place. And Onana's locked in. And Onana, again, you've got to criticise how he's managed to let that in. Again, what annoys me, we've got a goalkeeper who basically just stands there. And again, there's no attempt to save it. There's no attempt to try and move towards the ball away from our net. And you're basically just standing there like a statue. And again, you've got to look at the right-hand side of this net with the way Onana's positioned in goal, because this is the space here. Look at the space Guardiola has got to aim at. Look at all that time. Look at that big, massive area of net, which is massively open for Guardiola to head the ball in. And Onana just stands there. There's no attempt of a dive. There's no attempt of a save. Onana just stands there. And you, as a goalkeeper, you can't just be standing there letting that in. You've got to try and save this. You can't just stand there. You can clearly see Guardiola in with your eyes. You can clearly see Onana knows where Guardiola is. Onana just stands there and doesn't even bother to try and attempt to save that. It's really, really poor goalkeeping. You've got to try and get a glove to that. You've got to try and at least save that shot from going in. Because if he pulls off a wonder save, that save will be getting talked about for weeks. Onana just stands there and allows that to go in. As a top professional goalkeeper, any other level, a goalkeeper would not just be standing there letting Guardiola have that moment of glory. You can't just let that in. You've got to attempt to win that, get that ball away from your net. And unfortunately, it's too little too late. Because Guardiola's been left that space, he's been left that time, he's been left that free shot on goal. Guardiola's got a free target to aim at. And because Onana is completely one side towards his left-hand side of his net, Guardiola has anticipated that space. He's anticipated the run. He's anticipated the time. And unfortunately, Guardiola has seen this big, massive hole of a free net to aim at on the right-hand side of Onana's body. And Guardiola's anticipated that Onana is more towards one side of the net more than the other. And Onana, unfortunately, has to be covering both sides of the net here. You can't just be standing there. You've got to use your whole body to defend your goal. You've got to defend that. And I think Guardiola has seen that. And Guardiola thinks there's a free shot here. There's a free open bit, massive net to aim at. I'm going to aim my head at it and it's going to go in. It's poor defending. It's poor cross. It's a poor cross from De Bruyne in the first place. Imagine De Bruyne having to get a crossing from a block off Ahmad that unfortunately did not work. It really, really did not work for De Bruyne, that cross. I think if Ahmad would have got a better block on the cross, that ball would have come away from danger. That wouldn't have ended up as a cross. It wouldn't have ended up as a City lead. And that wouldn't have gone into our net if we would have got that ball away from danger. But we conceded it because we decided to put the ball out of play. And that is why the Man City goal went in, because we decided to put out for a bloody corner instead of trying to keep the ball in play. That is lazy play. You can't just keep letting Man City have all these set pieces and all these corners, because Man City are a threat on goal and they will give you a result that you're not looking for. So I think if Ahmad would have got that block in a bit better, we wouldn't have ended up conceding. But again, there was no response from Manchester United when we went 1-0 down. There was not really any kind of response to that moment of going 1-0 down. There was no response. And for me, that ain't fucking good enough. Like, in a moment like that, when you don't respond when you go 1-0 down, you wonder how the hell we're going to win this Manchester derby. And again, there's a load of talking points from that first half. I think if Stockley Park had any balls about VAR, the refereeing and some of the decision-making that is happening in European football across the globe, as well as world football and in English leagues, I think if Stockley Park and VAR had any balls about them, that Kyle Walker moment with Rasmus Højlund is an absolute joke. He's an absolute embarrassment to the Man City shirt. He's an embarrassment to England. He should be anywhere near the England squad. And for the moment that happened where there was a clash of heads and apparently Kyle Walker felt like Rasmus Højlund leaned a headbutt into him, Kyle Walker goes down like he's been hit, like a paper aeroplane sitting. That is pure embarrassment from a right back at Man City who has won the Champions League, won 4 Premier Leagues in a row and an FA Cup and a FIFA Club World Cup. That is embarrassing, the way Kyle Walker went down from the apparent headbutt from Rasmus Højlund. First of all, if Stockley Park had the balls, the first original thing that happened was Kyle Walker putting a fucking 2-footed tackle in on Rasmus. So that theoretically, that's a foul on Rasmus Højlund because Kyle Walker's made the initial foul. And obviously, Rasmus Højlund hasn't responded well from the tackle. And Højlund has squared up to Kyle Walker and gone in for the head. But it's basically, they're just touching heads. It's like they're going in for a kiss. Like, this isn't Romeo and Juliet. And Kyle Walker goes down like he's been hit by a fucking paper aeroplane because he feels like Rasmus Højlund has moved his head inwards towards his head and headbutted him. That's embarrassing. So if Stockley Park and VAR and the referee had any balls, they would book Kyle Walker for the first initial foul on Rasmus Højlund, which they should have done. And they really then should have booked Kyle Walker for diving. That's fucking embarrassing from a Man City captain who's one of the vice captains at Manchester City to go down like that, like you've been hit by a fucking paper aeroplane, is really, really embarrassing. Absolute atrocious moment. I think if Kyle Walker goes and looks back at that, I would be fucking embarrassed by that because you've made a meal of it. You've gone down so easily, and it's like you've got a bath sponge has hit you, and the bath sponge has got no water in it. The bath sponge is hard as rock, and you haven't put it under the tap to squeeze all the bubbles and all the air out of it. And Kyle Walker's gone down like a clown. I'm sorry. That should have been 2 yellow cards. He should have been sent off because he's dived and he's put the initial foul in. And I think that's a joke by VAR and the referee to not send him off, in my view. And I think what gets worse, we've got Harry Maguire, who has got 6 months left on his contract at this football club. And my worry is they are going to give him a brand new contract. They're going to give him a 1-year extension because they're not going to want to lose Harry Maguire for free. They're not going to want him to go. They'll beg and beg and beg him to stay and sign this 1-year extension. And that worries me because when I saw that back three, it was Onana, Mazraoui, DALOT, and I think did we play a back four or back three? Because it felt like Onana was in goal, right back Mazraoui, DALOT, Maguire, Martinez. I don't think we played a 3-4-3. It felt like a 4-3-3 instead, in my view. That's how it came across. I wouldn't have started Maguire in a big game like that because I thought that could go wrong. And truth be told, his passing's a joke. His defending's even worse. And the amount of indecision making and amount of times he gives that ball away to the opposition's incredible. This guy's got 6 months left on his Manchester United contract and he can go in the summer for free. And it feels like to me, we are playing Harry Maguire, not just to freshen the team up, which I don't think is needed because the last 2 games, YORO's been non-existent with any minutes. He didn't start today and he didn't start against Pilsen. And I don't get that because I think YORO is going to outstay Harry Maguire at this football club because YORO's got the age, he's got the ability and he's got the skill to be a better world-class centre-back than Harry Maguire will ever be. I think YORO should have started today inside that back four with YORO and can't think YORO, Martinez and DALOT because we ended up seeing DALOT back at left back, which I don't know, not DALOT, Martinez at left back, which I didn't really understand. I don't understand why we're doing that. I mean, if someone can quote me why we're doing that, that doesn't really justify starting Maguire. And it didn't justify starting at Martinez at left back. But again, you've got to question some of the team selection. You've got to question why Maguire's in the team where you've paid 60 million for YORO and Maguire can speak to other clubs for free in January because he's got 6 months left on his contract. My big fear is they're going to end up offering Maguire a contract extension and going to be desperately trying to get a big fee for him. That isn't going to happen. And I don't understand why YORO's not started the game. I think YORO should be starting games for Manchester United, in my view. You've paid 60 million from Lille. He should be starting in your back four that you went with today, which, in my view, probably was a lot more stable than what it was playing a traditional 3-4-3, which Ruben Amorim wants to transition Manchester United in. But obviously with these players, he can't do it. And I think he's probably realised that against Pilsen, Forest and probably Arsenal. And obviously, my other big concern is Mason Mount has been back for the Forest game and he was back for Pilsen. Mason Mount has been back for 2 games as a Manchester United player. He's been in and out this team with constant injuries. He keeps getting injured and he doesn't even last the first half because Mason Mount has felt something again go. I don't know what it is. Is it a hamstring? Is it a muscle injury? Is it his knee? Is it his ankle? I feel sorry for Mason Mount because he played very, very well against Pilsen in that second half. He played very well. He was one of our best attacking threats going towards the end of that Europa League game on Thursday night, away from home as well. I thought he played really well. But today, I think the foregone conclusion, whatever injury Mount keeps picking up, and whatever injury he's trying to get better around the injury he's got, that injury keeps on flaring up. And I don't know what he's felt. If it's hamstring, that's 4 to 5 weeks again. If it's muscle, it could be 2 to 3 weeks. So again, we've lost Mason Mount to injury, which again is going to be a big blow for Ruben Amorim because he played very well on Thursday. And Mason Mount hasn't lasted that first half. And it's not Mason Mount's fault he's ended up in this situation, by the way. It's not Mason Mount's fault. Mason Mount has got this constant injury problem that keeps on flaring up. And whatever injury it is, it's making other injuries happen around the current injury he's got. So obviously, has Mason Mount come back in way too early and he's rushed himself back? Or is there a massive long-term injury problem that Mason Mount is never going to be able to get to the level that he wants to because the injuries he get are getting worse? I think today that is on Erik ten Hag for paying 60 million for him. We should have went nowhere near Mason Mount. I said it was a bad signing. I said it wouldn't work. And then what happened at Chelsea? And yeah, and everyone, including myself, got excited when we signed a new player. Obviously, I get that, the excitement, the buzz factor, and the joy is there when you bring a new player to the football club. But logically, you've got to start pinpointing now. We should have went nowhere near him. We should have paid nowhere near 60 million for him, where you could have got him for free the year after. And you've paid 60 million. That 60 million has gone up in smoke again today because he's gone off injured. And I don't understand why, from Thursday to Sunday, what the hell has gone wrong? And I feel sorry for him because these players suffering injuries. I get it. It is sad. It is frustrating. It's very, very annoying. But logically, whatever injury he's getting, it's making his performances worse. And the injuries aren't making his game any better. And I feel sorry for Mason Mount. And obviously, I think every Man United fan and supporter wishes Mason Mount better towards the rest of the season, depending on how long he's going to be out. But it is a big blow because then you are back to Casemiro, you're back to Eriksen. And I think the only two first-choice midfielders we have now at this moment, because Eriksen hasn't had a sniff since Ipswich, which I think's deserved. And with the rumours being true that we are trying to shift Eriksen on as early as January, I think is a good thing. Casemiro, I think, is in the same bracket. I think Ruben Amorim has started to realise who his better midfield options are. I think he's settled with Mount. I think he's settled with Bruno and UGARTE and MAINOO. I think for me, those are the four main midfield starters that come into this football club by an absolute mile. And I think he has settled on these four options and I think he's happy with them. Obviously, he's quite clearly stating to the bench, you lot ain't good enough. Some of you, but some of you are. But it's sending a big message to Eriksen and Casemiro that you're going to have to find clubs because you're not going to be part of the plans. Long term, you're not going to be here. And long term, you don't fit into this plan or this vision that I have for this football club. And to rebuild this midfield, I have got to move you two on, which I think is the correct thing to do. And obviously, there was big surroundings from the team selection because the big obvious statement today, no Marcus Rashford and no Garnacho. I don't know what's happened here. I don't know what's happened. I don't know why Garnacho's not in the squad, not on the lineup, not on the bench. Marcus Rashford, not on the lineup, not even on the bench. I don't know what's happened since Thursday to Sunday. I don't know if Garnacho is responsible for the team leaks. And I think the Marcus Rashford one, again today, we've got journalists coming out. Manchester United are still looking to move Marcus Rashford on as soon as January. Clearly, there is something happened between both players and the manager or the club, or it's tactical. I don't know why. But in my view, I felt we did struggle on the left wing, personally, in my view. I felt we really struggled to create any realistic attacking options down that left wing because whatever attack we tried to create, Kyle Walker ended up pocketing it. And unfortunately, we ended up seeing Diego Dalot at left wing. That fucking scares the shite out of me. I don't know why we've now had to resort to Diego Dalot on the left wing. I don't get this. I don't think Dalot's any good anyway. But putting in Diego Dalot in at left wing, it frightens the shite out of me. It doesn't really give you any optimism or hope or belief that you're going to get any United side attacking that left wing with any versatile energy or performance when you've got a non-existent player like Dalot on your left wing. And Kyle Walker was pocketing him. No disrespect. With Dalot out on the left wing, that looked really desperate because it felt like we went with, in my view, we ended up having to have Mount and UGARTE in the midfield too. We ended up having Fernandes inside the front three with Ahmad and HOJLUND. I felt we really struggled playing Diego Dalot on the left wing side of the pitch today. It didn't really create any realistic attacking option for Man United to attack that Man City penalty or the Man City left wing of the pitch. Playing Dalot there, it sparked arrogance. And I felt for me, it sparked massive desperation that we don't really have anyone else to attack that left wing when we've got no Rashford and no Garnacho. And again, that's the big talking point. There's no Rashford and Garnacho. So clearly something has happened for both players today, even though they trained this morning. And apparently they've trained early and they trained well. So I don't understand why they've been admitted from the squad today to play Man City in the Manchester derby today, in the Premier League on match day 16. I don't get it. But it felt like, for me, we really struggled to adapt that left wing at all, not just inside the first half, but inside the second half as well. But I think we come on to the dramatic second half. What a second half and what a dramatic finish. I honestly did not expect Manchester United to rescue that win at the Etihad. I felt being 1-0 down, it was getting to the 60th minute, then the 70th, then the 80th, and then we got to the 84th, 85th minute. The game completely changed on its head. And again, the back pass from Matheus Nunes to Ederson. What a bloody joke. What a joke from Pep Guardiola to play Matheus Nunes inside that Man City back four. What a joke. You've got to be honest. What a bloody joke of Pep Guardiola playing Matheus Nunes, who was a centre attacking midfielder for Wolves and now for Man City at left back. The back pass from Matheus Nunes to Ederson, it's reached nowhere near Ederson. It's nowhere near him, and it's nowhere near the penalty area. And he's the original one that gave the ball away. But look who anticipates it. Look who goes and runs for the ball. Look at that right winger, Amad Diallo, chasing that ball down, trying to get into that Man City penalty area. That's what you call a determination player. That is what you call a player who is readying the fight. That is what you call a player who is putting his everything on the line to be successful at this football club. Amad Diallo, the way he anticipated that Matheus Nunes was going to play that pass short back to Ederson, you've got to applaud Amad's determination and bravery to go for that, and his courage, because any other Man United player, I don't think you get that. I don't think you've got any of United players in this team who would chase down those back passes as much as the front three are at the moment. You've got to applaud Amad for doing it. But what he does well, he waits for Matheus Nunes to get back into that penalty area, and he waits for him to bring him down and to put a tackle on him. That is what you call skill. That is what you call a player who knows Matheus Nunes has already made a mistake. So if he plays him into another one, Amad Diallo knows exactly the way to put his body into the position that he knows that he can get a tackle being put in on him. And obviously, Matheus Nunes not just makes one mistake, he makes two. And Matheus Nunes goes for him. Matheus Nunes absolutely falls for Amad Diallo's body position, and he tries to go for the ball. Unfortunately for Matheus Nunes, the one mistake was awful. The second mistake, that you've been that fucking gullible to go in for the tackle and get nowhere near the ball, and you basically swipe Amad Diallo down. Massive, massive fall for anticipating that Amad Diallo was leading you in then. And what play from Amad, and what cockiness and arrogance to realise that if he makes one mistake, he can easily make another. And Matheus Nunes falls for it. But that is down to Pep playing him at left back. That's really shit. Was he no, he wasn't at left back, was he? Was he at right back? And he played the ball back to Ederson. He was at right back, wasn't he? He was at right back. We've got to acknowledge I've made a mistake there. He was being put in at right back. And Carl Walker was then at left back with Diaz and Guardiola at centre-back together. And again, neither centre-back are near the back four. Neither of those two centre-backs are anywhere near goal, because Man City have left all that space clear for Matheus Nunes to play that ball back comfortably to Ederson. And again, I don't think Diaz and I don't think Guardiola anticipate that Nunes, what kind of pass are you making back to Ederson? Look how short it was. There was not much speed or roll on the ball from the pass Matheus Nunes made in the first place. And obviously, again, you applaud Amad for getting that ball and winning the ball. And you applaud him for chasing it down to create another attacking opportunity and goal. I was just worried where that was going to end up. I was worried, is he going to try and go around the goalkeeper and try and somehow lead this ball onto another United player to attack the ball and to put it into the City open net? Or a Man City's back four going to realise we need to get back to this. We need a defence moment of attacking options, because you can have all these United players chasing down that ball to put the ball into an empty net, because Ederson's nowhere near his net, by the way. Ederson's completely mishandled the judgment in the first place. But again, Ederson then redeems himself because he realised that he realised, in my view, that Matheus Nunes got back. Matheus Nunes did get back to the ball, but unfortunately, it's nowhere near the ball. And I think Ederson thought Matheus Nunes had this covered. I think Ederson thought Matheus Nunes is going to win the ball, will clear this moment away from my penalty area. But again, I do think this does need to go to VAR, because in my view, Man City should have been down to 9. Kyle Walker should have been sent off in the first half, but the swipe by Nunes, he's not just brought Amad down in the penalty area, he's also denied a clear goal scoring opportunity. And in my view, and the rules do state, if you deny a player a goal scoring opportunity and there's no one else around to cover you, that's a straight red card. So for me, Matheus Nunes should be sent off. In my view, that should be a straight red. Man City should have been down to 9 in that second half, because that's a straight foul. It's a clear, not denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. Amad could have scored, but unfortunately, Amad's made Nunes fall for it, and he swiped it down. And obviously, captain courageous of all, Bruno Fernandes, slots the penalty in to make it 1-1. And I'm glad he took that penalty, because in my view, some of the mistakes Fernandes made today were inexcusable. Some of the quick free kicks he was taking, and look how many Man City players saw the anticipation that Bruno Fernandes was going to make quite a few decent free kick, quick opportunities to get the ball moving quicker, a bit more forward. And again, you've got to applaud that, because Bruno Fernandes is a quick thinking player. But I didn't think Fernandes had the level today. I don't think Fernandes had the game I thought I wanted him to have. I don't think he was that great. I thought his passing was abysmal. I think some of the set pieces from him were shocking as well. I don't think Bruno Fernandes had his best game. But fair play to Amad for letting him have the ball. Fair play for Amad letting the captain take it. Fair play to Amad letting Fernandes get us back into that game. Because I think any other penalty taker at that club would have missed that. What you get from Bruno from penalties is calmness, sophistication, and you don't panic. That's one player who does not panic under pressures of penalties, is Bruno Fernandes. And obviously, Man City can't do anything about the penalty. It's calm. He slotted to the bottom left of Ederson's net and makes it 1-1. Ederson's nowhere near the ball. Fernandes slots it into the empty space to his left-hand side and makes it 1-1. And you think to yourself, if we take a point, it's not a defeat. It's not a defeat. We've grabbed a point where we probably, realistically, didn't look like we were going to get back into this game. We didn't look like we were going to get anything, but we've got a point. Let's try and hold on for this. But what I liked was the no-die attitude. And again, the brilliance of Amad Diallo to win it the way he did was absolutely fucking fantastic. Because there's 3 bits of skill that we need to talk about in this goal that I think, for me, this has to go down as goal of the season. I know there's been many great goals in this Premier League campaign so far. There's been many great strikes, many great goals. But for me, the vibes on this goal, it reminded me of the volley that Robin van Persie put in on Sir Alex's final home game as manager against Aston Villa, when he had that long ball played from Rooney to Van Persie, and we battered Villa 3-0, and he scored a hat-trick, and he volleyed it from the Rooney ball over the top of the Aston Villa back four. The ball from the Sandro Martinez is absolutely world fucking class. The Man City back four didn't anticipate Martinez playing that back four. And what Martinez saw, he knew the run Amad was going to make. And as soon as Amad saw that ball play along, Amad was off like a fucking rocket. It was like Ronnie O'Sullivan with his cue. The run and the anticipation to realise he's going to play this long, I'm going to get onto this. The ball from Martinez is absolute genius. But the finish is fucking incredible. The finish, the calmness, and the don't panic attitude from Amad is commendable. Don't panic, no rush, no pressure. That is what I liked about the goal. Because he's not just flicked the ball over the goalkeeper. He's not just flicked it over Ederson. He's not just flicked the ball in. He's played the shot low and hard into the bottom of Man City's net. But he's also absolutely embarrassed, that Manchester City back four, because the finish has gone through Guardiola's legs. The finish from Amad, the ball has ended up in the Man City net, even though I felt like one of those two Man City players were going to get back and to keep that out. That, again, is really poor defending from Man City. It's really, really poor. The defending is shocking for that goal. Amad has outdone your goalkeeper by flicking the ball over him. He's managed to put the hot shot low and hard into the bottom of your net. But when you've got Guardiola, Diaz and Walker all trying to chase down that ball away from the net, there's been too much speed on it, there's too much pace, and there's too much power for either of those three to block that from going in. And Amad has the audacity to nutmeg Guardiola, and Guardiola doesn't even see the ball. I don't think Guardiola knows where this ball's going. But for him to be nutmegged by Amad for the winning goal, it is the fucking icing on the fucking cake. Let's go to Greg's and get some donuts. Let's go to Greg's and get some cakes. Icing on the cake. That, for me, is pure brilliance from Martinez to not just play the ball long. Amad's brilliance as well to anticipate that ball from Martinez over the top. And Martinez does it perfectly. And Amad then sees it and he bolts. As soon as he sees that ball being played, Amad bolts for it. He gets the ball, flicks over the goalkeeper, embarrasses Ederson, sits him on his ass, plays the shot long, low, hard and powerful into the bottom of Man City's net. But to absolutely rub salt into Man City's wounds, he's not just outdone Kyle Walker, he's not just outdone Diaz, but he's absolutely sat fucking Guardiola in the bin because he's managed to nutmeg him with the finish. Because I think Guardiola didn't anticipate where the ball was going. And I think Guardiola expected to end up getting back to the ball before it rolled into the Man City's back of their net. Unfucking believable finish from Amad to win it the way he did. And you can see this player is special. The resurgence under Ruben Amorim has been phenomenal with Amad Diallo. I always believed in him. I knew he was special and I knew how good he was going to be. But his performance today, his energy levels, his determination, his skill, his speed, his pace, he is absolutely frightening any fucking back four at the moment. No one can cope with Amad. No one can cope with him. Every threat Man United get on that right wing goes through Amad. This is why Amad Diallo should be in this United team. This is why Amad Diallo is going to be a fucking special player for this football club. Because that finish takes skill, it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort to put yourself in that situation. But the resurgence and the style of play that Amad is getting in this team for the deserved first team opportunities he's getting, it shows why Erik ten Hag misjudged Amad. He didn't believe in him. He was favouring Antony, Garnacho and Rashford. That was our front three. He didn't want Amad anywhere near that starting 11. He thought it would be a better option off the bench. But if you start Amad, this is the creation he can bring. This is the creativity he's bringing to that right wing. Look how well our right wing is now. We thought it was settled under Sancho. Went to Chelsea. We thought it was sorted under Antony. Back on the bench where he belongs. We thought it was sorted under Rashford. Our survey says with Garnacho. It shows what Erik ten Hag got wrong. And it shows what Ruben Amorim's getting right. He's given Amad the game time he deserves because his performances, his skills, and the quality that he's bringing to that right wing is fucking phenomenal. For me, there is no question about it today. Amad Diallo is getting player of the match by a flipping mile because without that finish at the end and the way he took that long ball from Martinez to flick it over Ederson, play the ball low, hard and powerful into the bottom of Man City's net and to nutmeg Guardiola and sit him on his ass as well as Ederson, that takes a lot of balls. That takes a lot from a young player like that who we need to build this team around because this is why we get the results. And it's ended up in the Manchester derby Manchester City 1, Manchester United 2. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim. We've seen it all. We've won a lot. We're Man United and we're never gonna stop. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim, na 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 na. Ruben Amorim, Amorim, Ruben Amorim. Man City in the mud. You've lost the Manchester derby. 1 win in 11, 23 goals conceded in your last 11 as well. Man City 1, Manchester United 2. I hope you enjoyed the full-time reaction. Please hit the like button, the share button. Please keep subscribing to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always remember the notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated upcoming brand new videos, shorts and live streams that we have got planned for you right throughout the rest of 2024 and these last 3 weeks of the year. Only 3 weeks left and we'll be in 2025. Massive shout out to all of you. You're all amazing. You're all legendary. And then tomorrow evening, we'll be doing the look ahead for the Carabao Cup quarterfinal away to Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham away on Thursday evening. What a great weekend it's been for Manchester United. What a great result for the fans and the supporters of this football club. We've won the Manchester derby. We've beaten Man City in their own backyard. The champions have been beat. 1 win in 11, 23 goals conceded. Man City are in crisis. Man United have won the Manchester derby. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, be nice, be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary. And I'll see you guys all on the next one. Come on, United.